What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Final Whistle, episode 9.
Yep.
Episode 9. Danny Herb, my guy over here, Nathan Osler. Should be a good episode today. A lot of stuff happened since last episode. A lot of good games. Lot of good ball. A lot
Yep.
of good ball. I think we started off last episode with talking about Alabama versus Georgia. And I feel like it's only right if we kind of pick back up there. Bama, Georgia, game of the year.
Oh, yeah, this is easily game of the year.
Easily game of the year.
I want this to be a rematch.
Yeah. What in the playoffs? You think?
Playoffs, SEC championship. It's happening again.
Hopefully,
this was awesome.
What a game! Just to say the least. Ryan Williams is a straight problem. This dude's a problem. I mean, he's 17 years old, bro. He turns 18 in February. That's bad. That's a bad look on anyone who's above the age of 17. What are we doing with our lives? This dude's 17. He's better than me at everything ever. Very, very impressed with this Alabama team so far. They put up 40 points every single football game they played so far. Georgia Bulldogs just aren't. They're just not there, bro. Like they've struggled. They just struggled back-to-back weeks. Bama let them back in this game. Bama was up 28-0, and then Georgia just kind of found a way to get back in this game. 19 points in the fourth quarter. Wasn't loving how Bama let a team like that get back in this game. Nick Saban's Alabama Crimson Tide, they would have not taken their foot off the gas. Now, I still think Kalen DeBoer is a phenomenal head coach, and he's done an extraordinary job throughout his first 4 weeks in college football, his first SEC game, and he kind of dominated. Bama was cooking the whole game, and then they let Georgia get back into it. And there was a shot where, Georgia was winning the ball game with 2 minutes left, which was, I don't think anyone expected that to happen from what you saw in the first quarter. Jalen Miller really just looks solid, great. Heisman contender. Ryan Williams is now in Heisman talks. He had the game-winning catch where they threw him the dot, and he contorted his body, caught it, made a great play, scored. And then that's that. But it was a great game, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Listen, this has the feelings of it is going to be a rematch down the line, either in the SEC championship, since both the divisions are now mixed together. So that's part of the reason we got this game. Mm-hmm. And then, or I want to see it in the playoffs again, as maybe one of these teams had a bye week in that first round of the playoffs, and then one of these teams had to fight their way to face them, either Bama or Georgia. Georgia, we'll get to the rankings soon. They only dropped down to number 5. This matchup could easily still happen. Bama's now number 1. They're number 1 for a reason. But you brought up Jalen Milroe and Ryan Williams being up for Heisman candidacy. Jalen Milroe, I was watching especially the first half before I had to go head out, and I was just keeping up with it on my phone. This guy was killing it. He ended the game with 374 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. But he as well had 2 rushing touchdowns for 117 yards, which included a long rush of 36. So I'm a big guy who likes stats like that, and that's a very mobile QB. This is kind of like what we're seeing with Lamar Jackson right now in the NFL, a guy who can run very efficiently and throw the ball pretty well as well. And Jalen Milroe looks like a guy who a lot of NFL teams very early in the season are probably scouting the heck out of, especially if you're a team maybe like the Carolina Panthers, for example. You're scouting a QB like this. This is someone you want in charge of your offense, the way he's been looking, the way he has been commanding the Alabama Crimson Tide's offense. It's a new look. They don't have Nick Saban anymore. And right now, the new coach they got in there is now at 4-0, 1-0 in the conference, and that first SEC victory coming against Georgia. That is a huge look for a new coaching staff, in my opinion, Danny. It is a very huge look to get your first win in the SEC out of the way against the team that Nick Saban personally has owned the last couple years. This is a team that has been the only kryptonite, you could say, for the Georgia Bulldogs. And Carson Beck, in my opinion, did not look that good this game. I know people are going to see 439 yards, 3 touchdowns. You also got to look at the 3 picks. He also had 50 passing attempts. So you got to look in that as well. And it was mainly like they had to throw the ball. And we talked about Trevor Etienne not really living up to the hype this year. So far, he has not lived up to the hype, in my opinion. That game, 12 for 55, his longest rush was 12 yards, had a touchdown. He needs to get going for this team. We also talked to other, like Jam Miller. We didn't see a lot of Jam Miller in this game.
Yeah, Juice and Jam were kind of silent.
Yeah, they used guys like Justice Haynes, Jeremy Bernard, and Kendrick Law had a rush as well. But like Jalen Milroe was the guy for this rushing attack and passing attack. He is a great leader of this Bama offense. And I'm very curious to see how this Bama team can go through the rest of the season. I hardly even talked about Ryan Williams. Like you said, he's still very young. He is only, what do you say, 17 years old?
He is 17 years old, yeah.
So this season at 17 years old on 16 receptions already has 462 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns, and is averaging 28.9 a reception. That is absurd. We're both sitting here on a sports podcast that we just created, and this guy's 17, going to be a Heisman candidate in the future. If not this year, he's going to be winning it possibly sometime down the road, and possibly he's going to be an NFL talent if this can continue. He looks like one of the best wide receivers right now in the game of college football, behind guys like Travis Hunter. Now,
he's a better receiver than Travis Hunter easily.
You think he's a better receiver?
Travis Hunter is a better player because of his ability to be a two-way player, and I think Travis Hunter is a better defensive back than he is a receiver.
Yeah,
but Ryan Williams is just this dude's going to be a generational talent. Something kind of similar happened with Julio Jones when he came to Alabama. This is when you look back at this, it was, Nick Saban got hired to be the coach at Alabama, and his first big signing was Julio Jones. And Julio left high school a little early, and he came to Alabama, and he was a stud. And obviously Julio Jones went on to be Julio Jones. Now, Kalen DeBoer gets hired, makes one big splash, a guy from Alabama like Julio Jones, and he signs, or he gets Hollywood to commit, and it's got some deja vu here, and Kalen DeBoer has coached his ass off so far in the SEC, and I think that he's coaching more so to kind of prove people wrong and say, okay, this isn't just Saban, this is me. I'm going to be able to do my thing too. So I'm very impressed with what I've seen from the Tide so far, and I think it's only right if I hear you say Roll Tide.
I guess Roll Tide. I'm personally not a Bama fan, but they looked really, really good. I'm not gonna lie, and I think I picked Bama this game, and you picked Bama as well. But I had it more so as a defensive battle, 23-22. I was my final score prediction. I'll say this about the defense, especially for Bama. You said they let up in that fourth quarter, and it got a little scary. Georgia got the lead right back at one point at halftime. I think if I'm doing the math right, it was 30-7 at halftime.
Yeah,
the Crimson Tide should have just ran away with this, but they let Georgia get all the way back in this game. And with a coach like Kirby Smart, they could have more than likely won this game and upset the Crimson Tide if Bama was not playing, if they kept playing like they were in that fourth quarter. If those miracles, especially the Jalen Williams one, or I think that, Jalen Williams, if that doesn't happen, they're in trouble, in my opinion. Well, Ryan Williams, I don't know why I said Jalen Williams. But looking at this, like, there was a thing with Georgia that stuck out to me. A couple fumbles in this game. Carson Beck had one. He lost one. Trevor Etienne got one. Anthony Evans, the third, had one. They had 3 total fumbles, only lost the one of them. But like they combine that with Carson Beck's 3 interceptions, along with those 3 fumbles, that's 6 turnovers by this Georgia Bulldogs team. That can't happen. Personally, I think that can't happen for either team, especially it happens in the lower levels to have 6 turnovers a game. I get you're playing Bama, but you're the Georgia Bulldogs. This is a team that is in the talk for a national championship every single year. Both these teams, whoever lost, I think still had a 67% chance of making the playoff. They showed like a graphic during the game or before the game started. It's like the loser of this game, even though if they just finished with 1 loss, they still have a great chance, like 60 to 70% to just make it. So this game had great playoff implications, especially since if you're a Bama fan, because this win kind of cements yourself as like, oh, we beat Georgia this year. That's going to save them. And like when the committee's making decisions for like tiebreakers, say Georgia or Bama do not win the SEC somehow. Say a team like Missouri or Ole Miss does something special and upsets either of them in the SEC championship. Like Missouri is still in the running for that. Ole Miss lost this week, but they're still in the running for that game or whatever. And looking at this, when the committee makes those decisions, say Bama or Georgia don't win it, they're going to look at this game and give the higher seed probably to Bama if both these teams go with the same record. That's how it works. They love these head-to-head tiebreakers, and I'm very excited for the new era of the college football playoff and the matchups we are going to see come late December, early January. So this was a great game. Like you said, game of the year. It is going to be game of the year. It might be able to be replaced when it comes down to the playoffs, but like I don't think Michigan, Ohio State, the end of the year is going to live up to this hype as this game did. This game was amazing, and I tuned in when I was out and about with my buddies, and I was going nuts. A lot of people were going nuts. So this was a great game. But yeah, Bama, Georgia. Those are my
Roll
thoughts.
Tide. Shout out Jalen Mill Ticket. That's what they call him down in Titletown. Mill Ticket.
So do we want to discuss very quick thoughts on the rankings?
Yeah, we can get to the rankings. Let me pull up the AP poll here.
So while you're pulling that, your AP top 25 was updated this past weekend. You have a new number 1 in the country. Your Alabama Crimson Tide take number 1.
Roll
Texas, although 5-0, they dropped down to number 2, which is understandable as Bama just beat Georgia. 3, Ohio State stays the same. That was the only thing to stay the same in the top 10. This was a big week for changes. 4, Tennessee moves up there. 5 will be Georgia. They drop down 3 spots. 6, 7, 8, and 9 in order go Oregon, Penn State, Miami, Missouri as 9, and then 10, 11, 12, Michigan, USC, Ole Miss. 13 through 16 in order will go LSU, Notre Dame, Clemson, Iowa State. 17 to 20 is BYU, who are 5-0. They've been on the come up. They're up 5 spots from last week. Utah, Oklahoma, and Kansas State. And 21 to 25 in order are Boise State, Louisville, Indiana, Illinois, Texas A&M. And they also have a team that's not rated. I don't know why they're on the top 25 in my screen, but UNLV's 4-0 right now. They had a lot of drama this past week at UNLV with some NIL drama that was going on with their QB, but they still won without him. So I don't know if you heard that whole spiel, but yeah, those are the rankings. I guess the big thing is your top 10. The only thing to stay the same was Ohio State. They are 4-0. In my opinion, they haven't played great competition, but they're still 4-0. I understand the hype Ohio State gets, but like the biggest drops were Georgia and then Ole Miss falling out of the top 10 after getting upset by Kentucky. What a game that was. We didn't even talk about that one.
Very good game.
Ole Miss was probably the biggest drop. Oklahoma dropped. Actually, no, Utah dropped 8 spots. They lost this week. But yeah, the only drops in the top 10 were Georgia. Miami dropped down 1 spot, even though they're 5-0 because Penn State and Oregon, nice wins there. But then Ole Miss was the only team to kind of drop out of the top 10 that was in it.
I don't see how Penn State is just going up in rankings. They've been squeaking out wins, and they barely covered a spread against Indiana. Barely covered a spread.
Well, Illinois,
same thing.
The thing is, Illinois was ranked, so Illinois was a ranked team.
Should have been.
So yeah, Illinois was ranked. I'm trying to do. They moved down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They would have been 19th at the time. So it is a top 25 win. I completely get what you're reasoning, though. Let me pull up Penn State's schedule right here. So Penn State won 34-12 in West Virginia, 34-27 against Bowling Green. That was a game we talked greatly about. Kent State, they won 56-0. And then Illinois, they won 21-7. While we wait for Danny to reconnect there. I completely get where you're coming from, though, with the whole Penn State has played a lot of close games, and James Franklin's had a couple scares, in my opinion, especially that Bowling Green game. But you could also say the same about like why is Ohio State ranked so high? Because look at who they've played: Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall, and they played their first Big Ten game and whooped Michigan State. So I guess that's a solid win. But like I get your statement though about Penn State. Like I'm not high on Penn State as a lot of people are. I want to look at their schedule, like upcoming schedule. They have a tough one coming up. They have hosting UCLA, but then they go on the road to USC, who's ranked, on the road to Wisconsin, then they host Ohio State. So that's a nice 4-game stretch. We're going to be able to see if Penn State's legit or not, because they don't have to play Michigan this year, but they still got Ohio State on that schedule.
Yeah, I just don't see them ending up being ranked in the top 10.
That is a very fair argument. Do you think they still make the playoff?
No, they have to win the Big Ten. They're not going to win the Big Ten.
So
never win the Big Ten.
Here's the thing with the playoff, though. You either win your power conference, you make it.
Yeah.
So then those will be your 1 through 4 seeds. So hypothetically, I'm just looking at a team that's in borderline top 10. So Michigan, for example, is behind Ohio State and Penn State right now, and Oregon in the Big Ten. If Michigan wins the Big Ten, somehow a miracle happens, they would get one of those 1 through 4 seeds in the playoffs, and they would be a higher ranking. So they would have to re-rank Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State. And I feel like the committee wants all those teams in the playoffs. I really do. But I think we're going to see down the road with Penn State when they play the likes of Ohio State, USC. I'm excited to see what they can do. Like you, I'm not high on them at all personally, but like I'm excited to see what can happen if they can cause some chaos and maybe shock people. But yeah, did they play Oregon? I'm trying to look. They do not play Oregon this year.
So.
They do have Washington now. So they got away from an Oregon Ducks matchup. Very interesting one. But yeah, those are your top 25. Do you have any thoughts? Whatever things that might need change besides Penn State?
No, just Penn State's a fraud every year.
Just Penn State's a fraud.
I want to get into the NFL here?
Yeah, let's get it. NFL talk.
We're going to just highlight some key games here. You want to start off with the Packers and the Vikings. Let's get into it.
Yep, let's get it. So, pull this up.
Sam Darnold looks like an MVP candidate. I can't even believe it. 275 yards from Sam Darnold, who's like QB1 right now in the NFL. Dude's playing out of his mind. Jordan Love, 389 yards. He slung the rock. But 3 interceptions for Jordan Love. So he didn't look too good. But they were down, 28-0, and they almost came back and won that game. So
yeah, it was
22 points in the fourth quarter.
28-7 was your score at halftime. In Green Bay, this was the first game with Jordan Love. I think the Packers are lucky they are 2-2 right now. Malik Willis actually stepped up in a big way to give them a winning record going into this game. And I think it's a win that the Packers got Jordan Love already back and healthy with that injury. I thought it was going to be at least he misses half the season. He ended up only missing 3 weeks at max.
Crazy.
Which is unbelievable. And they ended up being 2-1 going into that. So they were 2-1 going into this game. And look at them now. They're only 2-2 with Jordan Love. And the thing with Jordan Love, you see the 3 picks. He's coming off that injury. I'm kind of surprised he played already. I personally would have rested him another week because either way, I think the Packers would have lost this game the way the Vikings offense has looked. And I think the Vikings are the biggest surprise this season. I think they have to be. But when I was doing like my predictions or whatever, just messing around, I think I had the Vikings as one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think I had them 3 or 4 wins max. And right now they're 4-0, 2-0 on the road, by the way. They just won at Lambeau Field. So the Vikings, it's clicking. Sam Darnold, you have to praise him right now because this guy is on like a comeback player of the year type of train, the way Joe Flacco won it last year. I know it was like there's the whole thing. It should have been like an injured player. It's an injured player's award. But like they gave it to Joe Flacco last year, a guy that hasn't been great in his career. Sam Darnold, if they're going along that logic, Sam Darnold has to be a guy as comeback player of the year because this guy has been killing it. There's a lot of guys that have been killing it as comeback player of the year that haven't been hurt per se. And we'll get to a couple possibly later. But Sam Darnold, he's finding guys like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison being used greatly, 3 for 72 for him. He hasn't been getting talked about as much. Aaron Jones has been a solid running back so far for the Vikings, in my opinion. But Sam Darnold is kind of just stealing the show. Like you said, he has to be an MVP candidate right now. He went 20 for 28. He leads the league in passing touchdowns. He has 11, 932 yards. That's 9th. He only has 3 picks. It says tied for 41st, but that's good to be that low. In a QBR, he's 3rd in the league, 73.5 QB rating. I think those are very good numbers for a guy like Sam Darnold, who a lot of guys after he was on the Jets just gave up on. He said should he left the league. This is a great story this year. I think it's awesome, and the Vikings are a great story as a whole. The Vikings defense has been killing it, although that fourth quarter was kind of awful where the Packers just slowly came back into that game and it came down to an onside kick. That defense was scared, but their defense has been rolling so far. So the Vikings might be my success story so far this season. I think they are for a lot of people. They're 4-0. A lot of teams can't say that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And a little bit of a revenge game. Aaron Jones, 93 yards. I'd love to see that against the Packers, team that didn't really give up on it, but they did cut him. And the Vikings signed Aaron Jones. Jaden Reed went off 139 yards for the Packers, but they just couldn't get it done. Honestly, I think this is still kind of a win for the Packers. You're still 2-2, and you lost your quarterback in week 1. You should be probably 1-4 right now, and you got lucky with some Malik Willis wins, and I still think that you got to take that as a blessing. So I'm not even close to panicking yet for the Packers.
Nope.
Jordan Love still played really good, just couldn't get the job done against arguably the best defense in the NFL right now, the Minnesota Vikings, who
Yeah, they're
have
up there.
just been unbelievable on defense with who's their defensive coordinator now? I think it was
Well, you look that up. Like, there's key guys on the defense. Blake Cashman, 11 tackles. Cameron Bynum, 7. Byron Murphy Jr., 7. Harrison Phillips, 6 tackles. They also got a guy in Harrison Smith, Shaquille Griffin, guys back there. These are solid guys on the defense. And then Stephon Gilmore. I mean, talked about him. They brought him in. It's a solid defense. Not a lot of people are bringing them up when they talk about defensive powerhouses right now.
Yeah, Vikings, one of the best teams in the NFL right now, 4-0. They actually kind of look legit. It's not like the Steelers where they were 3-0 and they were squeaking out wins. Vikings have looked really, really solid throughout these first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And I can't believe we thought this was going to be the worst team in the league. I feel bad. JJ McCarthy's job is done. When he's healthy, he's not playing football. It is Sam Darnold's job for sure.
He's out the whole year. JJ's out the whole
year. Even next year, they're going to re-sign Sam.
You don't think another team like just going to bring him a contract?
Why?
The way he's playing right now, a team might just swoop in there and pay him more than the Vikings are willing to pay him.
I think you got to stick with Sam Darnold here.
I think if you're Sam Darnold personally, you're looking at the contract offer the Vikings are going to offer you, but you have to look at the other options. There's teams desperate for quarterbacks currently.
True.
I think the best situation, though, for him is sticking with Justin Jefferson. Sam Darnold's thriving with a great wide receiver like that. He hasn't really had those weapons. He was with the Jets and the Panthers and then the 49ers. The 49ers had weapons, but he never played. They had Brock Purdy.
True.
So, yeah. So, like you said, though, before we move on very quick, like you said, Packers, nothing to worry about. I'm not hitting panic. Jaden Reed, we're both high on. I forget where we rank. Did we rank him B or future star?
No
I think it's future star.
Totally forget. A future star, Jaden Reed, yeah.
Jaden Reed looks very good. I think he's their WR1 personally. I think he needs to be 139 yards, only 7 receptions, by the way. Great game for him. 8 targets also. 7 for 8 on targets. So, yeah, let's move on.
Steelers, Colts.
Okay.
This is a tough one to cover. Everyone on the Pittsburgh Steelers is just straight up mid, okay? I'm over it. I'm a Steelers fan. Najee Harris is so mid. So mid. 19 yards out of Najee and 13 carries. Bro, you got to do better than that. Najee just has not been good this year, and they've ran him the way they should be running him. He just can't pick up the yards, and I think it is finally time. And I know I've been the guy who said, let's wait on Najee. Let's wait on Najee until we can really see his true potential, until they start running him like a power back. He's being run like a power back, and he's still not getting the job done. Now, granted, Pittsburgh's offensive line has literal 4 starters on it. Everyone else is hurt or whatever else is going on. But it was just a bad game to watch in general. Finally, the Steelers put up more than 10 points, 24 points out of the Steelers, 14 points in the fourth quarter. Almost had that fourth quarter comeback, just couldn't make that couldn't make it a reality later on in the game. But yeah, George Pickens for 113 yards was the best player on the Steelers. Justin Fields, 312 yards with 55 yards rushing. Fields has been looking actually really good for Pittsburgh. But then you look at the Colts. Anthony Richardson goes down, and Joe Flacco comes in, and Joe Flacco does what Joe Flacco did last year. And I feel bad. I'm an Anthony Richardson guy. So now, do we panic on AR? Like, this game was such a just cluster that I don't know. Josh Downs torched the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Michael Pittman
all game. So did Pittman. Like, it was just, we got cooked by the receivers. Our secondary just looked terrible. Looked straight up terrible.
Can I say this? You said George Pickens was the best player in the Steelers on Sunday.
Yeah.
I can't agree with that. I'm sorry. I see the 113 yards. I like it. I'm still giving it to Justin Fields.
Yeah.
He's part of the reason here's the thing with Pickens. The Steelers win this game if he didn't do that stupid fumble where he held the ball in one hand trying to wrap it around and he dropped it. And then I think the Colts just held it that drive. Did they end up scoring that drive by possible? Do you remember? They at least didn't allow the Steelers to do anything. Like, he had that one. He had the fumble in the end zone. Well, red zone, that is, on the 5. That should have been one. He should have got in the end zone. That should have been a touchdown. He had a dropped ball in the end zone out of his hands. So that's 2 possible touchdowns. I think they did scoring, and they did score on that drive. I think it was the Pat Fryermuth touchdown. I'll say good for Pat Fryermuth getting in the end zone finally. He's been on a big touchdown drought. If I'm looking at this game from the Steelers' perspective of who I'm giving a player of the game for, if I'm picking them, it's probably still Justin Fields, because he was on fire in that second half. He was on fire. He's part of the reason they got back in this game. I don't know what's going on right now, though, with the Steelers and him snapping a football. It's been every single game there's been a fumbled snap. It's the final drive, and the snap's just going over his head. It didn't even look like he was ready.
Embarrassing.
I don't know. I think Zach Frazier has been very good on the O-line, but some of these snaps are just kind of frustrating to watch. I think him and Fields need to get together or something, or whoever the quarterback's going to be, because there's a whole controversy again, because Tomlin said today that Russell Wilson's healthy, that type of thing. So there's some fans saying, who knows what's going to happen. But they need to figure out these snapping things. And then Najee Harris on that final drive, and I'll talk about him in a second even more, but staying in bounds, not getting out of bounds to stop the clock. You had no timeouts, or they were saving the one timeout for a field goal. And there's also, with Najee Harris, you brought it up perfectly. 13 carries, 19 yards. Power back, whose longest rush was 5 yards. 5 yards. What's going on with Najee Harris? The Steelers already, where's Jalen Warren? When's he going to be healthy?
Where the hell was TJ Watt?
Yeah, this was a bad game for TJ Watt.
No pressures, no sacks, no tackles for loss. TJ Watt ran cardio out there the whole game.
This was
a very TJ just get locked up ever.
This was a very lackluster game for the Steelers defense. And let me just say this, the Colts were starting a rookie center. They couldn't get hardly any pressures on Joe Flacco of all people. Joe Flacco, he was sacked twice. That's it. And it took till the fourth quarter to get to him.
Yeah.
When the Steelers defense finally woke up, personally. But the only part of the reason also they were in this game was Cordero Patterson, that one drive. It was just storming down the field, 6 for 43. And then something good happens. Now he's hurt. Cordero Patterson got hurt. They just lost to James Daniels. So I think it was a season-ending injury. They're lucky Sayamalu's going to be coming back soon, because this O-line, which looked like it was really good, they just lost their first-round pick, Fatanu, to it looks like a season-ending injury. Sayamalu, they lost to the tore pec. He looks like he's coming back. James Daniels, I think it was the Achilles. They're going to be losing him. And then Broderick Jones has been a big question mark. Dan Moore Jr. has always been a question mark. And then now they're starting Mason McCormick, an FCS guy, which I'm high on, but he looked kind of iffy this game. So it was his first start, don't get me wrong. But this O-line went from the story no one was worried about with the Steelers offense into something we're kind of worried about. And it's the injury situation with the Steelers as well. But I want to go to the Colts side really quick. Like Nicholas said, he's slamming the button on Anthony Richardson for the panic button. Personally, I am too, with his injury history that he's been having. He had another hip injury this game. And he was finding guys wide open. And that one play, who caught that first ball? The first one that was 32. Do you remember? The one that
Colts?
Yeah, it was the first splash play of the game. It was a 32-yard pass. Anthony Richardson found someone. It might have been Pittman at the top of my head.
I thought it was Josh Downs.
It was either Pittman or Josh Downs. And it was a throw that the announcers even said Joey Porter Jr. could have had that one.
Yeah.
That Joey Porter Jr. JPJ also made me upset this game. He had 2 interception opportunities. He dropped both of them. So this is a team, like you said, a lot of them are mid. They're still 3-1. I'm very curious how they're going to play against Dallas this coming week, and we can talk more about that on Friday, because Dallas is missing. They're going to be missing 2 key guys in defense. It looks like DeMarcus Lawrence and possibly Micah Parsons. So Steelers might be able to get away from something crazy, but we'll talk about that on Friday. But the Colts, Joe Flacco's like the Steelers' kryptonite. He always is. He was with the Ravens, and look at him now. They were not prepared for Joe Flacco to throw for 168 on them. Michael Pittman, star of the show, I would say, even though he didn't have a touchdown. Josh Downs, like you said, torched them. But yeah, Steelers, Colts, this lived up to be a great game, though, I will say this. The Colts let the Steelers, this is kind of like the Packers, Vikings. Vikings let them come all the way back. Practically what this was. Both games going around at the same time. There were a lot of close comebacks this week, and these were the 2 games that we're starting with that teams were letting them come back in. So, yeah.
Next game, let's get on Jags Texans. Um, Watching this game from a red zone standpoint, I really didn't think that Trevor Lawrence played that bad. He did only have a 170 yards passing, but his QBR was 43, which is bad. Listen, I was a guy who was defending Trevor Lawrence last week, saying that I'm not panicking on him yet. I still stand on that. I still don't think that Trevor Lawrence is playing that bad enough to where it is solely his fault. He has just no help. Brian Thomas Jr. has been his best receiver throughout all this entire year, and he has Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis, but they haven't really done much. Travis Etienne's been bad, and Tank Bigsby's been your running back one so far. And I don't know. Looking at this game, right? I'm not sold yet that the Jags need to blow it up. I'm not. I really don't think so. I think that the Jags were in a position to win this football game against a good Texans football team. Look at the Texans. I mean, CJ Stroud had to play his heart out to squeak a win against the Jags here. The Texans were losing going into the fourth quarter, and they didn't score any points until their last touchdown in the fourth quarter. They were up 17. They're up 17-13 going into halftime. Jags scored in the third quarter, and then Texans didn't score until like the 2-minute drill. CJ Stroud 345 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Slinging it. CJ Stroud just slings it. Nico Collins is straight up a wide receiver one. I am such a Nico Collins fan. I love to see that connection. But yeah, I really don't think it's time to panic that much on Jags. Sure, they're 0-4, which is full panic on the season, but we don't need. It's not Trevor Lawrence's sole fault yet. The defense has not been up to par, and just his surrounding weapons haven't been there for him. He has his offensive line looks like an FCS school.
So I'll say this about this game. I'm going to talk mainly about the Jaguars here. The Texans won this game with 18 seconds left. Jaguars get heartbroken. Nicholas already said it. I'm hyped about that Brian Thomas Jr. performance. 7 for 90. He has been I had the rushing 6 for 86. That is 1 touchdown. Yep. This guy has been on fire. Great rookie sensation so far this year. Great story I would say the only positive story right now going around in Jacksonville. You're saying it's not time to blow it up yet. I'm not blaming Trevor Lawrence, but I'm blaming one person, Doug Peterson.
I fully agree.
I think if there is a team that is going to make a coaching change very quick, it's gone. He's gone. I think he should be gone before week 5. I think he should be gone before their next game, personally. Yep. There is no reason at all, Danny, that this team should be 0-4. The Jaguars on paper have a great receiving core. In my opinion, a great running back core with Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne Jr. That's a very solid duo to have back there. Mm-hmm. Brian Thomas Jr., Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, solid 1-2-3 at wide receiver. Gabe Davis was not involved at all in this game. 1 reception, 5 targets, -2 yards for him. That was a bad game. Trevor Lawrence, he was not really the problem. Only 169 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. But the Texans defense, very good in my opinion. He's not the issue. It's the coaching staff. It clearly is. The Jaguars, they're in panic mode. They have to be. They lost so far 20-17 to the Dolphins. Close game. Walk-off field goal. They lost to the Browns 18-13. Close game. Only lost by 5. That was their home opener. Then they got murdered by the Bills 47-10. And then they just lost to the Texans in the final 18 seconds. So they have lost at least 2 games in the final minute. They've lost 2 games in the final minute, and that partially comes down to coaching. When are they using timeouts to maybe stop the clock or give themselves some more time to win games? Lost to a walk-off field goal. I get that one. I hate losing to the walk-off touchdown. The defense was just not locked in. They left guys wide open. But yeah, this is a team, on paper, you should be high on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are a team that should be a wild card threat. I think this is a perfect chance for teams like the Steelers to stay in the wild card race, the Bengals that maybe sneak back into the wild card race, and maybe the Colts as well to get games on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are having an awful, putrid start to the season. And this is a perfect example, teams like the Jets too, to stay in the wild card race, because I thought the Jaguars were going to be in that mix. Right now, the way they are playing, they look like a team that might be a top 10 draft pick right now. The way this team is playing, it has been a complete dumpster fire in Jacksonville. Personally, I don't like the Jaguars, but I can see a lot of fans are upset with the way they are playing. NFL fans are very like confused with the way they are playing. We were all told that Trevor Lawrence is going to be is a top 10 QB. I think he can still be a top 10 QB. Right now, he's lower top 10 the way he's been playing, if anything.
Sure.
And like, it's just people aren't living up to the hype right now. I think this is a team, if they are still bad at the trade deadline, people might be moved the way this season has been going and they start building for next year. But I think it has to start with the one guy in charge, Doug Peterson, the guy coaching this team. I think he should have been fired after the game. I really do. I said that before during our, I think, Thursday show last week when we did it. I said the Jaguars should be in consideration to fire their coach if they lose this game. They cannot. This is a team that cannot start 0-4. The Jaguars, people are high on them. Look at their team look at their depth chart. This is a team that looks like at least 2-2. They should be 2-2 right now. They should have beat the Browns the way the Cleveland Browns are playing. They should have beat the Dolphins, in my opinion, as well, the way the Dolphins looked week 1. But look, it's just confusing. And this is a team that's been underperforming, and that goes down to coaching at the end of the day. Coaching and general managing these teams or whatever. And I think especially if they start 0-5, I'll just say this. Who they play next? They play the Colts. Another divisional game, and the Colts could get a game on them for the wild card as well. If they lose to the Colts, Doug Peterson better be gone. They cannot be 0-5 going into games against Chicago, New England, and Green Bay. They have a 4-game home stretch, 4 games in a row. This is a time of the season they can just save it right now. The Bengals are in the midst of trying to save their season now that they're 1-3. The Jaguars' next 4 games are all winnable football games, Danny. Colts, Bears, Patriots, Packers. You can beat all those teams. They are more than capable of beating the Green Bay Packers, in my opinion.
True.
I think they are. They should beat the Patriots. They should beat the Bears the way the Bears have been playing, and they should beat the Colts, personally. Prior history. We don't even know if Anthony Richardson's going to be playing, if he's questionable or not. It might be Joe Flacco. So the Jaguars, it's full panic mode. This is a big week for them, and I think if they lose, Doug Peterson's gone. I think he has to.
He has to be fully.
Sorry for the spiel, but
I'm full. I love the spiel. Fully on the spiel wave, but yeah,
panic mode.
You're not wrong. It's time to make a change. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is the change. I still think he's a pretty good quarterback, even though he's been bad. But it's something needs to change around him. All right, we'll get into this game a little quickly. There's not a lot to talk about in this game, but there's a few big things. Chiefs versus Chargers. Mahomes is down his best 3 players now. He lost Isaiah Pacheco last week. This week, he dove into the knee of Rashee Rice, and now Rashee Rice is probably out for the year with a ACL injury. And he is straight up just lost Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce's been a ghost out there. So Mahomes' best 3 weapons coming into this year are now gone off the face of the earth, and he has to rely on Isaiah Worthy and Carson Steele. I'm a guy who always believes in the Chiefs. I'm a guy who thinks that Mahomes is probably skill-wise and when it comes down to it, the best quarterback of all time. Just like straight skill-wise. And I think this is a year, you look at the Chiefs, and I'm very high on the Chiefs every year, that you just kind of got to chalk it up and say, listen, this just wasn't our year. We had injuries. A lot of stuff just didn't go our way. We're still 4-0. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to compete. But when it comes down to it, and it comes down to a good team, like you play a team like the Baltimore Ravens, you play a team like the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs, you can't squeak out wins against those teams with this Chiefs offense. So I think it is fully time to press panic on the Chiefs. Full throttle.
Yeah, the Chiefs are in it, and you brought up Kelce. I think Kelce is personally celebrating right now because he's going to be getting a lot of targets now. Now that Rashee Rice is gone, and a guy like Xavier Worthy is probably smiling too because he's going to be used even more. We finally saw him get back in the end zone this week. You say it's panic mode for the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs can ever panic when they have Mahomes. They just make it happen. I know right now on paper it looks like they're losing all their guys. Like Kareem Hunt back at their running back in their core is pretty funny in my opinion. Like Nicholas just said, the Taylor Swift TV time is about to skyrocket like crazy. That is a great comment right there. But I don't think you can ever panic when you have Patrick Mahomes on your side of the football. He's going to win you games. I know refs be damned or whatever. If it's the refs' fault, they're winning games. They're still winning them. The Chiefs are playing very close football, though. these first 4 games, and a lot of like this one probably should have been a blowout. Looking at it, knowing how the Chiefs have treated the Chargers in the past. Yeah, I don't know where Danny went, Nicholas. I am not sure. But other than that, like there he is. He's back.
Cutting out.
What's up? Welcome back.
I heard it all. Full here. Yeah.
So like, I don't think they can panic. They have Mahomes. I don't think you can panic when you have Patrick Mahomes.
You have to. Now that's the case. Yes, Mahomes makes people around him good, but he just hasn't.
Like, and we're gonna get to the hot topic from today, but like with a certain wide receiver in the trade rumors right now, especially since his coach or whatever likes something. The Chiefs are a team that could easily get involved. The Chiefs always make it work, and Matt, we'll if you're watching this and don't know who we're talking about, we'll get to it a little bit. But just imagine it. Just think about it. They still got like guys like Sky Moore, I guess, back there too that they can still work with, like Nicholas just said. He still would not want to play the Chiefs even if they had you at wide receiver. You still don't want to play the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, that's true, but you can beat mediocre teams, and that is when it comes down to, okay, you're still the Chiefs. You can beat a team like the Saints on Monday Night Football. You can beat a team like the Eagles on Monday Night Football. But when it comes down to straight up Super Bowl contenders, they don't let you beat them by the skin of your teeth with that roster the Chiefs have. Isaiah Worthy is just not. He's just not it. He's not it. He hasn't been it.
Like, they need more. They clearly need more. I think this is a team that's going to be active in a few weeks, though, in the trade deadline. I really do. I think it's a team that's a threat to at least get maybe a better running back and a wide receiver. Like Nicholas just said it again. If you're a Lamar or Josh Allen or anyone like that, this is your season and a chance for a Super Bowl. It is your chance.
Yes.
Completely your chance. Especially if you're a Lamar Jackson, because they killed the Bills last night. We'll get to that in a second. Sunday night. But yeah, I guess that's my thoughts right here. I'm kind of surprised Herbert was healthy enough to play this week already. He looked pretty decent, in my opinion. He looked like Justin Herbert. J.K. Dobbins has been kind of slowing down the last 2 weeks. The Steelers figuring him out, and the Chiefs did. I think that little hype of the J.K. Dobbins first 2 games has kind of hit a brick wall these last 2 weeks. But yeah, I guess that's my thoughts. I don't like you're saying it's panic time for the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are panicking. I think all they need is just a receiver. They just need to add someone else. But yeah, defense is good.
All right, we'll get to the next game here. Ravens-Bills, very good game. Sunday Night Football. Very, very, very fun game to watch, in my opinion. Josh Allen, they almost had like a little bit of comeback. Coming out of halftime, they actually had some momentum, and then they ran the stupidest trick play I've ever seen, and Josh Allen got absolutely slammed to the turf, and the Bills just crushed all the momentum they had. And then from there, it was just no looking back. Ravens full throttle. Derrick Henry ran for 200 yards on 24 carries and a touchdown. Had one of his Derrick Henry-esque like 99-yard runs. I think it was an 87-yard run, the longest run in Baltimore Ravens franchise history, which is crazy. Ravens played pretty well, and this is the Ravens team that a lot of people have been waiting and expecting to see out of Baltimore. They've been waiting to see finally this offense to straight up click, because they've struggled before this week, and now it is fully back. Derrick Henry's finally adjusted to this offense, and he's Derrick Henry again. Like Nicholas said, he does owe me an apology, because he told me that Derrick Henry is washed every year. I draft him in fantasy every year, and Derrick Henry's my guy every year in fantasy. So debate a wall on that. But yeah, fully Ravens are a powerhouse, and they are one of the best teams in the league, top 3 teams in the league after last week, because this Bills team I thought was so legit. Josh Allen was and probably still is my MVP as of right now, but they just got their momentum sucked out of them coming out of halftime from that play, because they were starting to roll again. It was like 21-7, and they started rolling, and then they were down 2 scores, and looked like they were going to score. They were driving well, and then they just ever since then, and then it was cooked. So pretty good game to watch. I still think Josh Allen's my MVP candidate as of right now, but Lamar and Derrick Henry, if that can click, Derrick Henry might be in the running again for Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, Derrick Henry was absolutely amazing. Like you said, 87-yard run, 199 rushing yards, 24 carries. He's a big reason the Ravens were able to just murder the Buffalo Bills. The Bills just kind of hit a brick wall in this Ravens defense. Their only touchdown was a Ty Johnson 3-yard rush. I kind of want, like you said, Josh Allen wasn't bad. I kind of want to see more in this game. I was kind of more hyped to see what he could do against a team like the Ravens. Like this, like Nicholas said earlier in our comments, these are two QBs that should be taking advantage that the Chiefs are kind of where they are now. The Chiefs are, even though they're 4-0, they're missing a lot of key pieces. Pacheco, Rashee Rice, a lot of other guys they're going to be missing. And these are two teams that could be an AFC championship. Maybe if the Chiefs hit a brick wall with all these injuries. And this was round 1, and the Ravens destroyed them in round 1. Lamar Jackson looked really good. Only 5 incompletions, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, as well as we all know, 54 rushing yards and a touchdown there. So 3 touchdowns for him. And like we even saw, like Josh Johnson had a completion, one of their running backs. But other than that, like this is a game that I just look at. You look at the scoreboard, you're like, the Ravens, they woke up. I'll give them props. The Ravens woke up. They woke up after their first 2 games. Like I think after that Raiders loss, especially, they woke up. They almost allowed the Cowboys last week to come back. That would have been a huge loss for them. They couldn't have been 1-0-3 going into this game though. That was an unnecessary thing to happen. They managed that not to happen. And then this is their first game where they actually destroyed an opponent. And it being the Bills is very, and I mean very impressive in my opinion. They have the Bengals coming up next. So this is a Ravens team that's woke up at the perfect time, especially with a divisional opponent up next. So the Bills, I'm not panicking either, but they need to look better. They need to look better against top competition, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Next game, we'll get into it. Lions Seahawks last night, Monday Night Football. Best game of the night. The other game was just straight up bad. And
yeah.
I think we got to talk about one guy here in Jared Goff, 18 for 18. Would have had the record for the most passes in an NFL game, like consecutive, but you needed at least 20 passes apparently for that to be a thing. So Jared Goff does not get that, but kind of does. He had a quarterback rating of 155.8, which is crazy. QBR was 95.1. He was sacked 3 times on 26 sack attempts. He evaded a lot of pressure. Jared Goff threw for 300 yards on 18 for 18. Amon St. Brown was also 1 for 1. So the Lions did not have an incomplete pass once this game, which is crazy. And Amon St. Brown even threw a ball and threw for a touchdown, which is crazy. That was an awesome play to see Jared Goff catch a touchdown pass. Awesome to watch. Jahmyr Gibbs had a good game, 78 yards on 14 carries. David Montgomery runs like he hates the ground. I'm in love with this Lions offense, man. I'll tell you what, this running duo of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs is executed very perfectly. I think when I looked at this, I said, okay, great. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get his spotlight stolen by David Montgomery, and it's going to be this whole thing like what happened with DeAndre Swift when he was in Detroit, and Jamal Williams would come in and eat all his red zone targets. But I think that they've really done this perfectly now, and it is being utilized great. So this Lions offense is really starting to click. And the Seahawks, a team that they beat, was my team this year. This is my sleeper team. I said I'm very high on the Seahawks. I think they proved me right as well last night. They had a few bad calls that should have gone their way. DK Metcalf should have had a PI called in the end zone that would have set them up for a touchdown, and then they would have been able to had a chance to win that football game. DK 104 yards on 7 catches. Kenneth Walker also played great. I think just this these are 2 really just straight up great teams. 2 teams I'm very high on. On a few underrated teams, I think the Seahawks are fully underrated. The Lions are, I think, properly rated. But very, very fun game to watch. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with this. The Lions last night looked like the Detroit Lions I've personally been waiting to see all year. A high-scoring offense. They've played a couple close games to start. They had a 26-20 win, a 20-16 loss to the Buccaneers, and then they only won 20-13 against the Cardinals. But this was the game their offense woke up. Defense did allow 29, the most they've allowed, but it looks more so of an impressive victory. It was just the Seahawks offense was just able to respond to things. I'll say this about the Lions more so of a joking matter. Can I just say those jerseys are just
top one?
Amazing.
I love
it. I love it. I
was fully going to bet on Seattle last night, money line, and I see the Lions warming up pregame. I said no touch. I said that is just aura that is unmatched. Yep. No way I'm betting against that.
If I was a Lions fan, I'd be displaying those blue helmets in my room.
So
That
tough.
is,
So
I think
tough.
that's up there for one of the best helmets in the league. It has to
Best
be.
combos of all
Yep.
time, maybe.
Those
Gotta be.
uniform switch, their new like the rebranding of the uniforms, absolutely amazing. But
Looks like we're gonna have to do a jersey tier list.
oh yeah,
That's just what it's looking like.
you know what? Something fun for either Thursday or Friday, whenever we do it or whatever. But moving on to more serious stuff, I guess. Jared Goff, like you said, amazing. 2 passing touchdowns, 292. He was perfect, 18 for 18, as well as having his first, I guess, receiving touchdown. And like Nicholas said in the comments, he has more receiving tutties than Brandon Ayuk, who just got paid. I think that's funny. I think that's awesome for Jared Goff. What a success story Jared Goff has been in Detroit, by the way. He has reinvented this Detroit Lions offense. When he was drafted by the Rams, I don't think a lot of people projected him to be the quarterback to kind of save Detroit football. Matthew Stafford did the best of his abilities, but when that trade happens, that trade will live down as the most even trade in NFL history. Stafford for Jared Goff. The Rams got a Super Bowl out of Matthew Stafford. He got his ring. The Lions with Jared Goff got a franchise quarterback. They got the guy to get them to their first Super Bowl in, I think, since the 50s, in the 1900s. So, Jared Goff, amazing. Jahmyr Gibbs looked pretty good as well, 2 touchdowns. Jamison Williams, who we're both high on, pretty good as well, 2 for 80. He went 2 for 2 on his targets, 80 yards, as well as a touchdown. And one of those was a 70-yard catch. Sam Laporta kind of waking up. I need to see more out of Sam Laporta. I want to see him get in the end zone. Like we've talked about, it's been a weird start of the year for tight ends in the NFL. Mark Andrews, Sam Laporta, Travis Kelce, your top guys not finding the end zone. Amon-Ra St. Brown, what do you expect? Another touchdown out of him. This is a great offense. It really is. Amon-Ra, I think, even though we have him up there in our top receivers in the league, a lot of guys sleep on Amon-Ra St. Brown still, I think. Or I fear a lot of people still sleep on the guy that don't like look into this stuff. They just think of other receivers before him. I think in a couple years or maybe a year or two, this guy's going to be number one. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a legit wide receiver one that any team would be killing to have. And then I guess the Seahawks, a huge day for Kenneth Walker. I was getting so many alerts on fantasy saying Kenneth Walker the third has scored a touchdown. Kenneth Walker Jr. is in the red zone. He had a great game. I guess the Seahawks, like their defense was the reason they might have lost this game. Geno Smith played really good. We had him as a median C-tier quarterback. If a median C-tier quarterback is getting 395 passing yards, a touchdown a game, that's pretty good stuff out of him. DK Metcalf, great game, just couldn't find the end zone. The receiver that did was A.J. Barner, of all people. The Seahawks always have these guys you really never hear of that always, like Russell Wilson did it with a lot of his tight ends when he was in Seattle. A bunch of randoms, like I can't even think about them in the top of my head, but you've probably heard of some of them. But yeah, like Seahawks make things work. I'm not even panicking about the Seahawks right now. I personally wasn't high on them, but with the injuries the Rams have had, they're going to finish better than the Rams. And the way the Cardinals kind of played this week kind of shows the Seahawks might still be in. They're still going to be around for the wild card picture. I think the Niners are going to wake up and take this division, however, still. But like this was a great game. This is one of I think the game of the week, possibly, in my opinion. I know the Ravens-Bills was a great football game. Steelers-Colts was a great football game at the end. Packers-Vikings was a great football game at the end with those comebacks. But I think this was the game that lived up to all the hype. If this was Sunday Night Football, I think this would have been a better option this week than Bills-Ravens, the way that game turned out. This was a great football game. I'm happy it was on prime time. It completely overshadowed Titans and Dolphins last night. And I'll get to a Dolphins little spiel when we do our winners and losers. That team is in trouble. But Lions, they look really good, especially in those jerseys they got there. And maybe we'll do a tier list down the road. But yeah, those are some NFL. I guess those were, our 6 key games we wanted to discuss today. I thought this was the game, though, that really stole the spotlight this week. So great week of football.
Yeah, next thing we'll talk about is I know you brought this up to me. I honestly didn't even really know this was going on in the league. Devontae Adams.
Yes.
A lot of stuff's going on with Tay Adams. If you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, so I'm going to just pull up some stuff really quick. So I'm on Twitter today as you're texting me, telling you want to do it a little earlier today and all that crap. And I'm just like, okay, I'm coming home. And then I open Twitter. And the first thing I see is stuff about Devontae Adams. And I'm like, here we go. This is going to be another guy saying like a bunch of Steeler fans are going to be in the mentions saying, oh, we're going to get Devontae Adams. It's going to be Brandon Ayuk all over again. And I'm not going to be I'm not going to be biased with the Steelers. This is not going to be a Steelers discussion. This is a Devontae Adams discussion. So it came out. He was on the FanDuel, the Kay Adams show, discussing things. It came out yesterday that their head coach Antonio Pierce, who I think is a candidate to maybe get fired as well, the way the season's been going for the Raiders past the end of the year. And there was a post basically going around Instagram that said that Davante Adams has probably played his last snap with the Vegas Raiders, and their head coach liked the post. If you're a head coach, you cannot be liking Instagram posts that your players can see. He went on the show and practically was like, yeah, Ari Mirov, I think that's how he pronounced it. He basically tweeted, hashtag Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams says he hasn't heard from Antonio Pierce, who liked an Instagram post suggesting that Davante may have played his last down with Vegas. And in quote, Davante Adams said, there has been no communication with anybody from the team. So a lot of people are thinking Davante Adams is going to go. And we have a video up on the channel where I made a little PowerPoint presentation of like the Steelers, for example, need wide receivers. This is a guy that's always been in those talks. Like there's so many funny things popping up. There's a tweet right here. Davante Adams hamstring as soon as he's traded to the Jets. That's another team. And it's like Willy Wonka with his cane and then he does the somersault and he's perfectly healthy. That's a team that is in the running for a Davante Adams, people think. I don't know if you saw this. BR Gridiron just posted an hour ago. Cordero Patterson of the Steelers said Davante Adams should become a Steeler on his Twitter. Yes. Cordero Patterson replied to something, and it's quoted here. It says, sounds like he wanted to be an at Steeler. So the Cordero Patterson already doing some recruiting there. Yeah, so here's like people are saying predictions. They're thinking it's going to be Steelers, Jets, Commanders. So like this guy right here, he has this is one of these. It says like 2,000 views, 272K. This is let's see here. One of these, like a fantasy guy. He said these are some of the fits he has. Most scary for NFL would be the Chiefs. Like I was talking about you, like not about you, but like to you about it. This is it. Like we were talking about it a couple minutes ago. This trade deadline, the Chiefs need a wide receiver. This would be scary. I know Nicholas just put in all caps, go anywhere but the Chiefs. Be prepared. I think we should all be prepared for something here. I don't think the Raiders trade in the division though, but we've seen it before. This is, then he said the next most scary for the NFL would be the Bills. Imagine him with Josh Allen. True. That would be pretty fun. He put fun as the Dallas Cowboys, realistic Pittsburgh Steelers, nostalgic would be the Jets because Aaron Rodgers, the Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams connection in Green Bay. How cool would that be? Davante Adams, maybe Garrett Wilson. He put low-key fire Commanders of Jaden Daniels, and he also put also low-key fire the Lions. And then there's also low-key fire the LA Chargers. And then he goes, yay for aesthetics, the Ravens. He put shitty the Patriots, real shitty the Browns. Those are what people are thinking are the fits. Let's see, this is a Vegas Nation reporter. This guy is 65.5K followers. Vincent Bonsignor on Twitter says, more on this to come. A league source with knowledge of the situation confirmed that the Raiders are growing open to the idea of trading Davante Adams. The source said the club has begun reaching out to teams to gauge interest in the veteran wide receiver. So this is a guy that is going to possibly be traded. Like Nicholas, like he says, I don't think he'll go to a team with a solidified number one wide receiver because Davante loves to be the guy. I completely agree with that. ML Football says they post a lot of like rumors stuff, 270K followers. It's legit. The Steelers trading for Davante Adams makes all the sense in the world. They said Adams is a legit wide receiver run. One paired with George Pickens can be very special. The more weapons you can give a guy like Justin Fields, the more he will continue to blossom with that offense, especially with the coaching staff of Mike Tomlin. All NFL players usually want to play with Mike Tomlin. We saw with even Brandon Ayuk. They want to go play with a guy like Mike Tomlin. He's a coach. I'm not really high on Tomlin, but players are. He's a big players guy. But yeah, like the Raiders, they're already reaching out to teams supposedly. That's via the Las Vegas Review-Journal. They're already gauging interest and are preparing to trade him, especially since their head coach last night hinted at this liking a post. I just want to hear your thoughts. I think it's very intriguing. It's an intriguing storyline. It came out today, and it's a thing where especially teams that are 3-1, they're still in contention. Some undefeated guys like the Chiefs, maybe they're in on this. Maybe they're going to be communicating with the Vegas Raiders. And I think the teams at the top of my head, if I'm naming four, that makes sense. I'm not going to put it in order of if it happens. These are just the four teams that pop up. Pittsburgh Steelers, New York Jets, Washington Commanders, Kansas City Chiefs. Those are my 4 teams that I think could be in on this. So I'm going to throw it over to you.
I think that's a perfectly fine list. I think the Commanders just aren't ready to make that splash yet, right? I think they're doing enough with what they have yet. So I think that a team that is just so desperate for a wide receiver is Pittsburgh. And that's not me being biased and saying, oh, Pittsburgh needs a wide receiver because I want one. I think that Pittsburgh's a team that just straight up needs one more than anyone else. And Devonta Adams wants to go to a team where he can be the wide receiver 1, where he can be the guy. He would be the guy in Pittsburgh. George Pickens would go back to being a wide receiver 2, which I think would make George Pickens pretty pissed off. And then we would have to deal with another Antonio Brown diva situation where he's pouting around and he doesn't want to be here anymore. So what comes with Devonta Adams is a lot of head cases, because Devonta Adams has never gone somewhere and been happy. You know, in Green Bay, he wanted out. Now in Las Vegas, he wanted out. Why did you even want to go to Vegas in the first place? To play with Derek Carr, who you knew that wasn't going to work out. So Devonta Adams has always been a guy who I just haven't liked, just solely because he's just never happy and he always needs to be in the news. He's never happy. He's always complaining. He can never put the blame on himself. Did you watch the Receiver show on Netflix?
Not yet, but I've seen stuff.
The entire time, Devonta Adams is literally just blaming his quarterback, blaming the coaching staff, blaming everyone else besides himself. Now, sure, it is not his fault, but as a professional, as a top receiver of all time, honestly, Devonta Adams is probably top 10 all time. You got to have some self accountability, and I feel like Devonta Adams has just straight up never had that, and I don't need that coming into the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room, because we already have enough cancer in that locker room as is. And it's finally kind of been weeded out. And, we had Deontay Johnson, who didn't want to be here last year. I don't want a guy who doesn't want to be here. I want a guy who straight up says, I want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Brandon Ayuk said, I want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I don't want to have to trade for Devonta Adams and then him not want to be here. So I think that a team that makes sense, yeah, it sucks. It's probably the Kansas City Chiefs. That's a team that is straight up. If they lose one game, they're pissed off. Their expectations are to go 17-0 every year. And when they lose a game, they say, okay, we need to make a difference. We need to make a change. We're not ready to call this dynasty quits yet. We're going for that three-peat. Let's go out. Let's get Devonta Adams. Let's make this team into what it used to be with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, because we all know Travis Kelce's on his way out. So we're not going to halt Mahomes' legacy yet. Let's get him a stud wide receiver to, do his career with, finish Adams' career with. You saw it with Randy Moss, who kind of, when he started going down in his career, he went to the New England Patriots, and then he his career took another skyrocket, and he was great on the Patriots. I think that would be very similar to what we would see if Devonta Adams went to Kansas City. It would be so similar to Randy Moss going to New England and making a newfound dynasty with Tom Brady. I think that would be fun to watch for me. I think everyone else would hate it, but it's always cool to see a dynasty build up from where we saw it. I'm a Mahomes guy. I think that'd be fun, but yeah, I can see everyone else not wanting that.
Yeah, and here's the thing about Devonta Adams too. A team that trades for him, people are saying keep in mind the $25 million cap hit.
Yeah.
He's a big cap. He's getting cash this year, 17.5, but his cap hit is $25,350,000. I don't know if I can share my screen really quick, but I found something I want to show you.
Can you click present?
I'm going to try this out.
Share screen.
Let's see here.
Should let you.
Do you see it?
Yep.
Pull that up. There you go. The jersey swap is already done. Here's Steelers trading for Devontae, possibly. Here's some other stuff. Here's his cap hit. Just for fun. It's down here, 23, 25-ish. It's going to be in that range. Yeah, and here's the thing about – here's – if you want to see the tweet, this is
play this full. Or I don't know if we can hear audio. Yeah.
About you getting traded.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
When you heard of that, I guess my first question is, how soon did you hear from Coach?
Yeah, I haven't heard from him. I haven't talked to him. So I haven't, I don't know. I don't really know exactly what it was about. Obviously, I got, social media is a beast. So it's a lot of people out there that saw it and wondering what's going on and people reaching out. And yeah, I haven't spoke to him.
Well, I'm surprised by that. I would think he'd hit. That's okay. Well, I would think he'd. I mean, you work together every day, so if that, I would say,
Right.
oh shoot, I accidentally hit that. I unliked it. Now it's this huge story. Is that just kind of like what the dynamic is? That's not something that you want to hear from him?
Honestly, it's hard to comment on. I'm sure you would imagine as such, but it's one of those situations where I just keep my head down and keep doing my thing, and let the chips fall where they may, as it pertains to that. But I haven't. There's been no communication with anybody from the team since that became a thing. But it's kind of just like the weekly "What's up with Tay" thing. It's always some sort of drama, but at the end of the day, 1-7 doesn't create any of it. So.
Okay, so that's that.
Yeah.
So basically, that's the
notice
thing.
how he wasn't even wearing a Raider shirt. He's wearing a Fresno State shirt.
And here's the Cordero Patterson thing that just came out. He wants it. But, those are the teams, right here. The guy from The Athletic. These are the three teams that people were saying. Jets, Steelers, Commanders. So, those are the teams to look out for. But, like we said in that video, I'm going to stop sharing here very quick. Just like we said, those are the teams. And he looks like he doesn't know what's going on right now. And that's going to be a thing that is going to be a big story. It's going to be big, especially since there's no communication, it appears. He hasn't heard anything. This is going to be a big trade deadline thing. Last couple years ago was CMC getting traded from the Panthers. I think this is the big target for a lot of teams. My four, I think we agree on them too. Steelers, Chiefs, Jets, Commanders. Those are the four teams to look out for right now.
I can see Jets. So I could see him saying, "Okay, I want to go back to Aaron Rodgers."
I think honestly, the way the cap is, the Jets have more cap room, maybe can be more flexible with it, even though they don't have that $25 million available. But teams can easily do some things to restructure contracts or get rid of people on their current team, trade them. Because this is going to be a haul. It's probably going to be a couple picks, at least going back, at least a second rounder, in my opinion. Maybe an O lineman or something. Maybe throw another skill player in there. They're going to be wanting something. This is going to be more than what the Niners are probably getting for Ayuk. This is a guy that's probably going to be on that team for the next couple years. But I really like the one guy I just saw on Twitter, the take of the nostalgia fit, the Jets. I think the Jets are the most perfect fit. Them and the Chiefs and the Steelers. Those are the three most perfect fits. Him with Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams is a wide receiver 1 over Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson will be a perfect WR2, and this is a guy that Garrett Wilson can learn under. I know Rodgers might like throwing to Devontae Adams a lot more because of the connection, their history, but if the Jets want to be serious, this might be the guy to get. So that's some Devontae Adams news. I thought that would be fun to talk about today just because very interesting stuff.
Like those headlines. Let's get into winners, losers of the week. Let's start with our winners real quick. You want me to go first or do you want to go first?
You can start it.
I'm going to kind of try and rapid fire this. I'm not going to give too big of reasons. First winner of the week, Baker Mayfield. Another big win, proving himself to be a elite quarterback kind of in the NFL. I've talked to a bunch of people, and I would like to hear your thoughts on this. Would you trade Justin Fields or Russell Wilson for Baker Mayfield right now?
No.
I would. I would take Baker Mayfield.
The question?
Would you rather have Baker Mayfield on your team or Fields and Russ?
Oh, yes. Never mind. Yes.
Baker, but I'm saying you're trading them. So it is Baker until he's gone. And it's, you know what I mean?
Well, he's under contract too. He's under contract already the way he's playing.
Yeah. So
I'd do it.
I think I'd rather have Baker over both of them easily. Baker's straight up a phenomenal quarterback. I know there's been a few Steelers fans that be like, no, I want Fields. I think you're just brain dead if you say that. Baker Mayfield has been so legit. I'm very happy that he's succeeding because I liked him in college, hated him in Cleveland. Now I love him again. Second winner of the week, CJ Stroud. Didn't look great. Passed for a lot of yards. Still looks great as always. Didn't throw an interception. Hit his guys well. I really liked seeing him in play, and he had a great 2-minute drill, come down and win the game. Third winner of the week, Jared Goff. I mean, just what a game, 18 for 18. He even caught a touchdown pass in those uniforms, looked absolutely sick. Jared Goff, winner of the week. Baltimore Ravens, huge winners of the week. They finally, their offense started clicking. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson just looked amazing. So I didn't really want to single out one player on that Ravens team. So I just kind of put them all as general. This team is back to looking like a straight Super Bowl contender. And my last run of the week is Malik Neighbors. I mean, when is this guy going to have a bad game? I think he had 117 yards again. And I mean, the dude is just a flat out stud. He's easily the best wide receiver so far in this draft class we've seen. Marvin Harrison has looked good. Marvin Harrison's looked really good, but Malik Neighbors has looked jaw-dropping amazing so far. So Malik Neighbors, one of the biggest winners of the week so far. Just a great week for Malik.
Yeah, so my winners, I guess we have a lot of the same. I put the Bucs offense in general. I put great victory over the Eagles. They kind of embarrassed the Eagles this weekend too. Baker Mayfield's rolling right now. Great comeback after their loss last week to Denver, which was awful. He had 347 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, also had a rushing touchdown. But he's also doing a great job of getting the ball to all their weapons involved, especially Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's looked amazing this year personally. Mike Evans is always going to be Mike Evans. So the Bucs offense, they're winners. Nico Collins, I put as a winner number 2, 12 receptions, 151 yards, and a touchdown. He's been a great weapon being used by CJ Stroud.
Hold on here.
Uh-oh. What's going on?
I got to pull up X.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Keep talking.
Oh, no. You got me nervous here.
Yeah, just keep talking.
But Nico Collins, 12 for 151, a great touchdown. High-octane offense, major piece of that receiving core. Derrick Henry, number 3, 24 for 199 and a touchdown. Perfect fit for the Ravens. You put the Ravens in a hole. I'll do it different. I'm just going to take Henry. The great offense, though, but this guy is legit. I put Jordan Mason, number 4. I haven't really talked about him as much. He's starting to look like he's going to be the starting running back for the Niners all season, or at least for a while because of the CMC issue.
We got breaking news here.
Uh-oh.
We have breaking news on the final whistle. First time it's happened all year.
Oh, shoot.
We have breaking news here. I gotta pull this up.
Oh, what is this?
Devontae Adams has officially requested a
There
trade.
it is. We just talked about
this. Hold on. We're gonna have to. Yeah, Devontae Adams.
We just talked about this.
Has officially requested a trade from the Las Vegas Raiders. How about this?
There it is. We just talked about this. So I'm looking at those teams that I was just naming: Steelers, Jets, Commanders, and Chiefs. Those are the 4 to look out for, personally.
Yep.
And my bias is going to show. Omar Khan, I'm saying a prayer. We need a wide receiver. Please. Please.
Ian Rappaport says Devontae Adams has officially requested a trade. How about this? Just as when we're talking about this, Devontae Adams officially requests a trade. Search his name up here, see if we can find anything else on that.
So this is a guy, while you search up some stuff, they need, like Nicholas is screaming, anyone but the Chiefs, please. He's a fit for a lot of teams. Again. There it is.
Wow.
He's requested the trade, and you know what? Honestly, good for him. If he's not getting any communication from his own team, you have to if they're not giving you any input, I'd want to know what's going on too. His own head coach liked an Instagram post. Yeah, there's the Willy Wonka thing I saw. Like, that's what's going to happen. His hamstring's going to be miraculously healthy. Like there's the Chiefs. Like,
oh, these are good. These are good stuff.
I'm looking out for the Kansas City Chiefs to get them. I don't know. There's some bad mojo. They need a receiver bad. And what do you know? This happens the 2 days or so after Rashee Rice gets injured.
Wow, this is perfect. It's crazy.
How perfect.
Wow.
But you have to think though, Danny. The 4 teams that make the most sense, I guess 3 of them are the Steelers, Jets, and Chiefs. I don't really know of another team. Maybe the Bills.
Yeah.
Give Josh Allen a weapon, but I don't know if there might be a surprise team in there, maybe that does something crazy. Could you imagine if the Bengals are just a surprise team or the Jaguars are a surprise team? There's only a few teams that stick out to me that need wide receiver help ASAP and would completely enjoy Devontae Adams on that team. Personally, I would hope more so he's not on the Chiefs just because it would be the Chiefs getting him would completely break the league and break the internet. I think a team like the Steelers or Jets need to make a move. They need to make a move right now. The Jets need more weapons on offense. The Steelers need more weapons on offense. The wide receiving pairing that they could make on either side, you could have a Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams pairing, or a George Pickens, Devontae Adams pairing. Pair a young wide receiver with a solid vet. Your friend Nevin over here says the Saints. Saints are as well another pretty nice fit that I'm not even thinking of.
No shot.
I could see it.
He wants to win. He wants to win football games.
You know what? I'm gonna finish my winners very quick, and then I want to get back to this.
Sure. Finish.
I think this is important to talk about. So yes. I had Jordan Mason as well. He's going to be a guy that is going to be getting a lot of reps. And then Jared Goff, you already explained it enough. He looked amazing. And then I have an honorable mention just for fun. Bengals, they won. They won a game. Now, we got me thinking about Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to get too excited that the Steelers are actually going to do something, and they won't. This is important stuff. This is huge. This is big news. Do we want to even do our losers right now?
I mean, let's run by our losers real quick. I think. Yep. I mean, we're not going to be able to make this a YouTube video, winners losers this week, just because of the chaos that's kind of ensued. But I think that's fine.
Yeah. You want me to start it?
Start your losers.
I'll do it pretty quick. Losers, and I just talked about this team being in the running for this. The New York Jets. They only scored 9 points against the Broncos. The Jets lost to a rookie QB in Bo Nix, who went only 12 of 25 with 60 yards, and at one point and a touchdown. At one point, he had -7 passing yards. Yes, I saw the graphic below the screen. Pretty funny stuff. The Jets are gonna jet. That's what I put. Jets are gonna jet, and they need a weapon. They need more offense, and there's the guy. Then I put the Bills. Completely outmatched in their loss to the Ravens. Couldn't get anything done in their loss to the Ravens defense, especially. I'm still high on the Bills, but that was rough. Number 3, talked about him earlier, Doug Peterson. It's time for the Jaguars to make a coaching change, in my opinion. This team on paper is better than 0-4. Something has got to change, and I think the Jaguars will end up being the first team this season to make the coaching change. Number 4, surprised we didn't talk about him just because we didn't talk about the Browns today. Deshaun Watson, it's like clockwork. We're talking about how bad he's been every single week on here. The Browns are still stuck with that awful contract and stuck with a 1-3 record. Something has got to get clicking on that offense, and honestly, it might be coming down to who's behind center, who's playing behind the center right now. Number 4, brought it up. Well, I guess number 5, brought it up earlier. The post-Tua Miami Marlins. I put, man, this team is cooked without having Tua at QB. Losing 31-12 at home to the Tennessee Titans cannot happen. Jalen Waddle led the way with only 36 passing yards to him. Tyreek Hill only had 23 receiving yards. They need a QB ASAP that is not Tyler Huntley. Sorry, Tyler Huntley, but you can't be the guy starting for the Miami Dolphins right now.
Yeah.
Honorable mention, I thought I put this in there as well because it's been frustrating to watch, and I've been seeing this kind of grow as a hot topic. Nick Sirianni. I've been seeing so many fans on social media calling for the coaching change in Philly. Some of his decision-making has been awful this season in particular. They also had the major collapse last season, Danny, where they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Bucs, and something isn't clicking right now for them. This is a team that should be amongst the ranks of 4-0 right now, in my opinion, especially with the talent they have on that roster, especially the way Saquon's been playing. They should not be 2-2 right now. But yeah, those are my winners and losers.
Losers for me, I'll get into it pretty quick. Pittsburgh Steelers, pretty big loser of the week. You needed to be flawless going into this back half of your schedule because of the teams that you needed to beat. And you lost to a Colts team you should have beat with Joe Flacco. Anthony Richardson went down. Second week in a row that the Steelers have played a team without their starting quarterback. And they find a way to lose games against teams that they should beat. And they did it again. The Mike Tomlin special does it all the time. So Steelers pretty big loser this week, and their offense just again didn't click. Najee Harris didn't look good. Kansas City Chiefs lost all 3 of their weapons. They lost again Isaiah Pacheco. They lost Rashee Rice, and they've lost Travis Kelce fully. He's a ghost. He's nowhere to be found. The guy sucks. I feel bad for Chiefs fans. 4th loser of the week or 3rd loser of the week, Tyreek Hill. Can't get the ball to him. He just looked bad the last game, and when he did have a big catch, there was a penalty called back. He got overthrown for what would have been a touchdown because he burnt the guy, And Tyreek Hill, until Tua comes back, people don't really realize how good of a quarterback Tua is until the Dolphins are literally terrible now. So people need to start giving Tua Tagovailoa some damn respect, because he makes this offense what it is. Because when he is healthy, it's one of the best offenses in the whole NFL. People like to hate on Tua; they like to discredit him. But hey, when Tua is out, look what happens to this Miami offense. Fourth loser of the week, Will Levis. I think his job might be done. I think Mason Rudolph came in. Mason Rudolph played pretty damn good. And Will Levis has been bad. He's had a meme every week. He was crying on the sidelines. Mason Rudolph came in and played some damn good football. So I think Will Levis's job is fully almost gone now at this point, because Mason Rudolph has kind of been a stud. He's won his last 4 straight games in the NFL, regular season games in the NFL. And he's been pretty good. Last loser of the week. This is going to be my loser of the week. I think almost every week. Sean Watson, loser, bum. You lost to the Raiders. You suck. I also believe that Jameson Winston could see starting reps coming up soon, just because Sean Watson has not won football games. They are just straight up bad this year, and I love to see it. I hate Deshaun Watson. I hate the Browns. Also pack watch of the week, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I'll give that to that too. Personally, before we get back into this Devontae Adams, I love how your trending goes Devontae Adams, World War III in Iran. I love that. I love how the world currently cares more right now about Devontae Adams.
Are we missing? Is something happening in this world where World War III is a thing?
It's trending every other day.
True.
But Devontae Adams, this is a big story. Like, as we're talking about this coming out, Ian Rappaport must have been like, "Oh, the final whistle's live. Let's let them break some news."
Facts.
But yeah, everyone's thinking it's going to be the. Oh my gosh, there's the betting odds. Well, I hope it's not the Ravens or Cowboys.
If those are not Ravens,
those aren't fits. I don't see it. I don't see the Cowboys especially.
Yeah, neither do I. Who made these lines? The 33rd team?
It's the Jets and Steelers. I think it's going to be a battle between those two teams. I think, honestly, I'm thinking, hey, look, there's Rodgers. They got him on speed dial. Chargers.
Why are people saying the Ravens?
Maybe because
did I not say this?
Oh, yep.
Boom. There we go.
I don't know. See, there's the thing with the Chiefs fit. I don't know if they're going to do a trade within their own division. I know if the Chiefs offer them a lot, they would, but I'm not a big fan of interdivision trades.
I agree.
There's Mike Tomlin. Who says no? FanDuel. There it is. Chiefs for a first rounder and a 5th rounder. Ooh.
That's a good trade.
That is a very good. So we're thinking it's going to be a first round pick.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Ooh, I was thinking second round, a 2nd and a 4th, or 2nd and a 3rd, but I think they're going to get if the Chiefs offer a first round pick, they're actually, if you want the better first round pick, you would probably want it to be the Jets or Steelers, maybe the Commanders. Yeah. I don't think
scrolling this far on Twitter is never good.
No. I don't think
getting deep there.
I don't think the Chiefs are the perfect fit right now just because of a trade partner per se.
I think they might be.
Well, I think they're the perfect fit offensively, but
the interdivision is going to be tough.
The trade partner thing, if the Raiders want a better pick, say the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, they're getting 32nd overall pick in that trade. You probably want a better pick. If you want the better pick, I would go Steelers or Jets.
Yeah. I agree.
And that's not me just saying it because of the wall right there with the Pirates stuff and my inner Steelers.
I think that is a very good point.
Realistically, if the Raiders want more, I wonder, in my head right now, I'm wondering what Omar Khan and the Steelers are doing right now, because this was a team all over Brandon Ayuk. Mm-hmm. They were supposedly about to get it done, and they had a trade offer ready. I wonder if they're just going to use that trade offer to maybe get some leverage. Or maybe the Raiders get leverage, I guess. Or what the Jets are going to do. But maybe, just maybe on Friday, we have something saying we're doing a show, or maybe we have an emergency podcast. I like to call it. Maybe if a trade goes down, maybe some gut reactions. But yeah, so do you have certain teams in your head right now that we're thinking? I gave mine.
Steelers.
Those are your 2.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm giving 3, I'm putting the Jets in there. Maybe the Commanders. Imagine him and Scary Terry. as your
That'd
1
be
and 2
crazy.
guys. Now that's a present to give Jaden Daniels. That is an absolute gift to give a rookie QB.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams might have thought he was getting the whole world, getting Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. Could you imagine Jaden Daniels if he shows up for a game, his next game or whatever, shows up to the practice facility and Devontae Adams is there with Scary Terry catching
That'd be
footballs
fire.
in the jug machine?
Be pretty fire.
So I'll rank him like this. If something goes down, as little bias as possible, and this is a warning, it might sound like it. I think the Steelers are number 1. They wanted Ayuk so bad. They wanted him so bad. And yeah. Oh, you know what? I just caught Nicholas saying this. Christian Watson, me and him were agreeing last week about Christian Watson in our tier list, saying he was made of glass and he got hurt. So
True.
I guess we were right about that. But I guess like the Steelers might be the number 1 fit. I think they should be, just because they need wide receiver help. Their wide receiver 2 cannot be Van Jefferson.
Yeah.
It cannot be an unproven Roman Wilson. The Jets are in the same exact situation, but I think Omar Khan is desperate right now because they're 3-1. I thought they were going to be maybe 2-2 at this point. I honestly thought they could have lost to the Falcons or the Chargers. Both pretty close games. I mean, the Chargers one was a little bit more, but like the Falcons one, pretty close. Denver, pretty close. They need players. They need a wide receiver. That is not Van Jefferson being that wide receiver too.
What this just broke.
Oh my
4 minutes
gosh.
ago. NFL is suspending Von Miller 4 games for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. What's going on the final whistle right now?
The news is breaking on the final whistle.
Von Miller, 4-game suspension.
See, I don't really care about that as much right now. I care
Same.
more about the Devontae Adams, but that's more breaking news.
Yeah.
But
I wonder why.
there's a gut feeling inside of me, Danny, that thinks he's going to be a Chief.
Yeah.
I think it's the trade in the division I hate, but like I think he's a Chief. I think it might be the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a perfect fit as much as we don't want it.
True. I don't not want it. I think that it's the best fit. I think it's the most likely.
Like, they just lost Pacheco. They just lost Rashee Rice. They don't have a wide receiver 1. It's Xavier Worthy, who's a rookie. I guess. Carson Steele, their top running back right now. They need an offensive weapon. As much like Nicholas just said, the fan base in the NFL would probably throw up, but it just makes sense. This is like Darth Vader and the Death Star. It's like Andy Reid showing up in a Darth Vader suit. The Chiefs are the Death Star. They're just pointing the laser at the entire league. And this is like the Imperial Star Destroyer coming in to join them. Devontae Adams. That's practically what this is. That's what it's going to be, because I think it might happen.
Yeah.
That might be what a metaphor to use, but like, I hope maybe we have an emergency podcast sometime this week before Thursday night football, possibly. Yeah. Who knows? Because they're saying he might have played his last snap. Keep an eye out on certain teams, especially Steelers, Jets, Commanders, and Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, we broke a lot of breaking news.
Yeah.
Today. Good episode all around today, and longer one, hour and a half almost. Again,
you know what? I'll say this: you had Pack Watch for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And I throw Pack Watch on Devontae Adams for ruining our winners and losers segment of the week.
True.
I mean, it made it more fun, but like, come on, this was like, that's like the best segment here on YouTube.
Yep.
You could say winners and losers. Needed my thoughts on Jordan Mason and the Cincinnati Bengals. I didn't get to like. This is more important stuff. But yeah,
well, good episode today,
yep.
And we'll have more news on Devontae Adams and what goes on with him. But yeah, there was a pretty good episode, and thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.
Yep. See you guys later.
Always takes a while to